Following is a presentation of iRacing on PTR TV. We'd like to thank all of our channel partners for their support. Please like and subscribe to the channel, and we hope you enjoy today's broadcast.
It's the final road course race for Area in Season 7, and it's the second trip for the Area Pro Series presented by Florida State Builders as we head to the treacherous COTA Circuit of the Americas. Although it's not the traditional 4-mile layout we'll be running on, it's the 2.3-mile layout we'll be running on. The one similar that was run earlier in real-life NASCAR, and looking forward to another great night of racing from the Florida State Builders Area Pro Series, where we'll see if Sebastian Marin can get his 6th win of the season before heading into the next race. Currently, the penultimate round of the regular season is upon us here in Austin, Texas, in the virtual world. I'm here with Corey Silva. I'm Hunter Sleppy, as always. Looking forward to some road course racing. Got about a minute left before these guys take it to the 17 or 20 turn, however you want to call it. It's the shortened layout of Circuit of the Americas, about 2.3 miles there. You can see that access road's cut off. We don't go all the way around. So, Corey, looking forward to being back in the booth and watching the Pro Series guys go at it.
Yeah, if you use my my Scooby-Doo style drawings there, that is what the normal layout is, but that ain't what we're running here today. We are running the abridged version here of COTA, but happy to be in here. Hunter, we saw an absolute banger of a race on Tuesday night in the truck series with Mercurio and Kenny Brady putting on a phenomenal finish there, and we hope to see the same here today. Practice is just in its waning stages, and the car on the screen is, of course, the dominator here on the season, and doing just that here in practice, up by about 0.3 of a second on the field. Jake Nichols and Zach Kerr, our Aussie, going to be in third, but that'll be the end of practice. But while practice is finishing up, let's go over our point standings there, Hunter. With this being the second to last race before that cutoff, things are pretty tight there at the bottom at that pivotal cut line.
Absolutely. So already at the top, you see Sebastian Marin, Jake Nichols, James Scully. Those guys, they're all the way up. And I mean, still no wins on the season for Jake Nichols, but he's essentially locked in. Lost a close one last week to his teammate Scully in Kansas. Zach Nichols with a win on the season. Then we get to Beckner, Opplinger, Jeff Wright, John Forbes Jr., the top 8. They're looking pretty good. Zach Kerr, mentioned him, all the way up in, I believe, 3rd in practice. He's 9th in the point standings. John Furness, Blaze McKinney, and Jonathan Evans. Evans, though, not really locked in, essentially because Matt Kemp's the Daytona winner. He's still inside the top 20 in points, and he's made enough starts. If he's here tonight, then he'll be pretty good looking into Talladega in 2 weeks' time. But yeah, Evans and Philip Groner tied in the point standings. Michael Venable there as well. Daniel Day, Casey Lakatos inside that top 20 threshold. And again, Talladega, the ultimate wild card. If you're inside the top 20 in points with a win, you can get in and lock your ticket to the playoffs. Matthew Batby, if he's here tonight, he'll have a pretty good shot at trying to do that. Brody Falliker be up in the air for that. But Nate Stewart, I saw him, he was top 5 in practice speeds. If he has a good night tonight, he'll be in a better position in 2 weeks' time at Talladega.
Yeah, exactly that. And there were 12 drivers, per my math, that were within 40 points of the bubble. And being the anomaly that a road course can be, some drivers love it, some drivers don't. And then, of course, next week's time, you have the Talladega Super Speedway, where anything can happen. So 40 points in 2 weeks with some guys that may already have tickets to lock in certainly will make things interesting. So we have just due to the anomaly of what we're doing, we have a 10-minute qualifier here today. I believe it is 2 laps, too, if I'm not mistaken. Qualifying here, Hunter, super difficult, not due to the nature of the track necessarily, but you can see that gravel that Kerr is going through, but the off-track system. Let's just say area records have been shattered in the last week of how many incidents per session have occurred, because we are lax about how we race here, but we're not lax about how we qualify here. You have to keep that car in between those two painted white lines.
Absolutely, otherwise the time gets invalidated, and there's nothing really about a penalty during the race for having too many off-track points, so some guys will take the liberty of going off track multiple times throughout the session, not by force, or not by choice, I should say, but sometimes if they're forced off the road. Now, Travis Beckner usually won the watch for these road course races. He won here in the past in the trucks, although on the pro side of things, he was not able to get the job done. Skyley is the only winner from COTA.
Well, little slideways there. There was a ton of gravel. This track, and you can see it depending on the bit rate of the stream that you may be watching, a ton of gravel here. You'd think they were playing in the Masters here, getting into sand traps, but that will certainly degrade the grip here. iRacing has made sure of that. There's some more gravel there right on the circuit here through the back end of the track, what would be turn number 19. Jeff Wright will be the first to complete a lap, coming through 19, and now turn 20, again through some more sand. Why not? And let's complete a lap around here.
Yeah, so looking through some guys I'm noticing that are that were in the first race back in season 2. Skyley obviously up on that list. Bryce Senesac, David Weishart, they both had top 5s to their names. Looking at Garrett Grant as well. Not too many other names on here that I know of. Thought Travis Beckner had a accident in that race, so that's why he finished 23rd back in season 2. But on the truck side of things, he's gotten a win here before. Michael Venable, haven't seen him tackle on COTA yet for the Pro Series. He'll put up the 4th quickest time, but obviously it's Sebastian Marin that everyone is chasing after, and that second place car, I think that's a new driver. I have not heard of that name before.
Yeah, Van Drugman here, so certainly maybe a ringer of sorts. Here is Daniel Day, maybe wishing he had a ringer there with that lap, but he'll do the best that he can do. Mr. Greg Mitchell, see the variance here, guys in the mid 140s, about 3 seconds off. And that is just a difference here at COTA there, Hunter, because, you know, Watkins Glen, the difference in times between the drivers, usually more minimal, as Watkins Glen specifically is a pretty easy track. We had in the truck series, I don't know how much about the cup race, but in the truck series, we had variance in qualifying times upwards of 7 seconds. This place definitely separates the men from the boys.
Indeed, as Nate Stewart's coming out of the final turn. Saw Forrest Smith there. He was also one of the originals to run COTA back in season 2. He finished 16th, looking to cap off the penultimate round of the regular season with a solid effort. And here's the 05 and 8 Stewart. I'm not sure if that lap time was a warm-up or if it was invalidated, but it was not on the board. Travis Beckner looking to put up a quick time himself.
Yeah, well, he's coming in. I'm not sure. There's plenty of time here, and I mean, you might be able to figure that out. If they actually are allowed 2 laps here, would be nice of admin to do so, but here's Zach Kerr. That lap won't be facilitating any efforts here. Seeing if anybody else hasn't turned a lap. Still about 8 drivers haven't turned a lap or so, but with the amount of EOLs, wouldn't surprise me. Here's John Furnass here coming off. Looks like it would count because this lap is pretty decent. Not decent enough, but Furnass still in that top 10, so nothing to slouch over.
Yeah, looking through top 5, it's Marin, Jake Nichols, Van Drugman, new road, of course, ringer, I'm assuming. You hit the nail on the head there. Beckner and Zach Kerr, the top 5, as there's Matt Kemp in the 51 coming through. Here's last week's winner, James Scioli. Should I say the winner 2 weeks ago. It's been a while since we've seen him on the iRacing side of things for area, but you can already see the gravel between turns 19 and 20, I believe, where guys are going to have to go through that all day. And
it's like a good
coming
one.
to the line. Yeah, Zach Nichols actually just put up the 4th quickest time.
Till now.
And Skyler dethrones him. Yeah, just like that.
Nate Stewart here. The first lap was a throwaway of sorts. This lap, it won't be the pole, but that'll be right in the thick of it. 3rd. Look at that from second place to sixth, that's essentially only separated by 0.2 of a second. So that outside of Marin here, we have an absolute very tight ball game here. But here comes Casey Lakatos. I think he is the only driver who hasn't turned a lap yet who is on track, and I can already tell this lap ain't gonna count for nothing.
That's a tough one. That's the only part of the racetrack where it's not from the real world. The NASCAR side of things, it was just a straight left. There was no little kink in between. It was just a straight line cutting through the racetrack.
Camera. It's this, yeah, this right here. This is the layout that we are running on. In the real world, Hunter, you'd have to correct me on this. I don't remember if they ran on the shorter end of it or if they ran on the longer end of it, but I want to say they added to it, so it would actually be further out than what this is. But either way, yeah, they straight lined it. And COTA due for a update in a build or two, so maybe we'll finally get that uncovered here on the service.
Yeah, so from what I'm looking at, it's called the COTA National Layout. So I think this is what the MotoGP side used. Could be wrong on that, but that's the similar layout that they ran before.
So the West, there's two layouts here. The National, I believe, and someone in chat, we have a lot of smart people here. There's two different layouts. There's the layout that uses the hairpin at the end of the straightaway and then cuts off the top end of the track. I don't know why my telestrator's not working right now. I wish it was. Oh, there it goes. There's a section that uses this part of the track right here. And then there's also the West layout. Now the iRacing version, the real life, they made a little straight line right there that omits that chicane. But it runs the majority of the GP layout. I know V8 Supercars ran it at some point or another. Not sure about the Moto guys, but if anybody in chat has some information, let us know. But we'll see. Again, due for an update here on iRacing with the new paved sections and making this place look pretty. We'll look forward to that. But what we will look forward to is about 1 minute more of qualifying. Sebastian Marin, I think at this point, just running for some bonus laps here because any last bit of practice surely can't hurt you.
No, it'll only help for the race and trying to get down whatever breaking point issues you might have, whether that be coming uphill, which is probably going to be the most chaotic part of the race because there are no cautions for road course races in areas. So what you see is what you get. So turn one might be the best opportunity you'll have all day long. Doesn't matter if you stay out and drag the fuel or if you pit early or pit in intervals. It's not going to matter. So if you mess up, you mess up. It's going to be a long day for you. So turn one might be the only opportunity for these guys to make up some track position.
Exactly that here, as we did get confirmation on the 2 laps of qualifying, but do want to use this opportunity here as qualifying coming to a close, and we're going to switch over to the warm-up session. Thank everyone for tuning in here to PTR TV. If it's your first time, don't make it your last. Hit the like and subscribe button. Only a few subscribers short of 1,700. We moved from 16 to 1,700 rather quickly, and a little bit more help there. We will surely appreciate that. If you're on Facebook, make sure you like. And if you're watching on the Twitch side of things, consider subscribing and following and all that fun stuff as well. But if you subscribe for $5 a month, you'll get custom emotes in the chat, earn double points as a subscriber, and then you can use those double points to earn yourself free merch. Again, if you are watching there on the Twitch side of things. So now our warm-up has started. We'll see if we let it run out or if we cut it early, but 5 more minutes on the table.
I'm assuming they're going to let it run out, similar to what happened Monday. But yeah, looking through some of the guys in this race that were in Monday's race that had pretty good finishes. Jake Nichols, James Skyley, Connor Horn, top 5 in each, top 5 for each of those guys. And then David Weishart finished 10th. Track position is going to be the name of the game. Normally, the pole sitter or whoever's on the front row has a good chance at winning the race. Monday it almost happened, but Dylan Alt had some iRacing connectivity issues where he led the most laps, but the final 13 is what did him in. About 13 to go, he lost connection and gave the win to Seth Nolan starting in third. But outside of that, it's really going to be whoever gets a good launch from the front row. Sebastian Marin's in the field, so that's also going to be tough. He's got 5 wins to his name, trying to make it 6 before they head to Talladega in 2 weeks' time. But And he also, well, actually, no, he did not win Watkins Glen. That was won by Logan Clampett.
Yeah, Clampett not here tonight. Of course, we will be off. We were off last week, sort of, only because it was the All-Star race where we saw a dead tie, the closest finish PTR TV history, although Area has had a few ties there on their record. We saw our first one here, and we'll be off next week for the update on iRacing, another Week 13 build, so new features, new content, new additions, new tweaks, new optimizations, and most leagues will tend to take that week off because you never know when something might go astray here. But we'll be back in 2 weeks' time at the Talladega Super Speedway, which is due to get some more graphical updates, which always makes me happy as a producer. So we'll see what happens there. But again, just waiting for this session to wind out. Again, I'll focus on this guy right here because he was quick, and we don't know this scheme. I think it's a Bubba scheme. But Van Dragmund here. Again, don't know him, but he evidently is a road ringer, so let's see what he can do here.
Yeah, I'm looking through. he's in the LVV Racing Discord, and he's the only one in there by himself, so there's really not a whole lot about this guy, but he's got pretty good pace. He qualified inside the top 5. You might be right. Could be similar to a Bubba scheme. At least the color font, or the number font, and the color scheme would represent that, but I think this could be a big night for Nate Stewart in the 05. Mentioned him. He's currently 21st in the point standings. Has not been a good season for him. Only one top 5 on the year. I believe that was at, not COTA. I was going to say Circuit of the Americas. I can pull that back up, but that was his best race of the season. And if he finishes good tonight, puts himself in a better spot for Talladega, where, again, he would probably be in a must-win situation, but just having that insurance to be inside the top 20 rather than having a poor result and being outside the top 20 looking in, huge dividends heading into 2 weeks' time.
Yeah, Nate Stewart, not someone who has been back there due to lack there of speed. It's largely just been wrong place, wrong time, wrong strategy, something going astray. Which will not put you astray is Central Mobile Homes, who will be starting our sponsor off for our grid here today. Central Mobile Homes, if you're looking for a small or a large home, a Triple Crown trailer, or a new shed, look no further. Serving Florida customers for 29 years with a plethora of small and large home floor plans, shed designs, and Triple Crown trailers. Available in the Bell, Okeechobee, Cluson, and Sebring. Head to centralmobilehomeinc.com, and they will sponsor our starting lineup. Sebastian Marin, no surprise to anybody, leading this thing down by almost 0.4 of a second over Jake Nichols in second. Nate Stewart, just talked about him. He needs a good run. He'll have a good starting spot for it there in third. Van Drugman, our newbie here, he is going to be in the 4th spot. James Scioli in 5th. Zach Nichols going to be in the 6th spot. Always a row to watch. Travis Beckner, he did great in the trucks on Tuesday. What can he do from 7th? Our Aussie friend Zach Kerr in 8th. And then we have Mr. Mike Venable and then David Weishart rounding out our top 10.
In row 6, it's Reese Schaefer going to roll off 11th, and alongside him, John Furness in 12th. 13th will be Blaze McKinney in the 87, and alongside him, the 17 of John Forbes Jr. in 14th. 15th, it's Andrew Payne in the 70, and alongside him, it's Garrick Rand in the 5, starting P16. In 17th, it's Bryce Senesac, alongside him, Jeremy Miller, going to be 18th. 19th will be the 48 of Jeff Wright, and 20th will be the 13 of Braxton Deweese.
And then we will find Justin Anisogak in 21st, Daniel Day in 22nd, Greg Mitchell in 23rd, a hometown race for him effectively. Literally, we are in Austin. So Brad Slaughter in 24th. 25th will find the likes of Alan Fox with Casey Lakatos there in 26th. Then we have Forrest Smith. He had a rough day on Tuesday night. And Matt Kemp in 28th. And rounding out our top 30, we have Connor Horn and John Evans. And then just the last 2 to roll through. Last 2 rows, Hamilton, Pierce, Robertson, and Servideo. All of that to be said because we have our end-of-line penalties, and we have a myriad of them there. Hunter, so that starting grid a little bit amended.
Yeah, a little bit. So Philip Groner in the 11, the biggest name on that list, and I don't actually see him in this lobby.
Well, it's a pretty long end of line penalty if you're not here for it. So he's so far in the back of the line, he didn't make the plane here.
On this list, Ed Robertson's the only one in here. I could be wrong, got to double check, but I don't see Wileman. I don't see the 40, was it the 46? Brown? Jeremy Brown?
Yeah, so a lot of times what happens there, and a penalty on a road course with no cautions, as we'll bring up our race details, 40 laps flag to flag, everything else basically the same, but no cautions, no stages, nothing. An end-of-line penalty here is brutal because there's no chance to recover from it. The only way to recover from it is to drive through and get yourself all those spots back. So maybe some guys just said, yeah, I can't do that. But either way, coming through what effectively is turn number 19. I don't know what the abridged version of it is, but we'll call it turn number 19. And then the sharp left-hander turn number 20 leads us onto the pit straight, and we will use the second timing line, I believe, to get today's race underway.
Think so too. It's the biggest restart. It's going to be the only restart of the race, and it's the initial start. Marin on the inside, and they're already going now. We're green from Circuit of the Americas.
And here we come up that famous 140-foot hill, and they will flail out, and, well, actually not quite. Marin got them going so quickly that not much flailing out to be had. So a pretty good jump up there. Everybody single file, double file at most as they come through the S's here. Nate Stewart has cleared for second. It's going to be Nichols and Dragman battling here for third. We head through the S's. Now we abridge to the left for the chute.
Yeah, this is going to be the toughest part of the circuit for these guys. These lefts, these rights. It's going to be tight trying to get some side-by-side battles in. This little kink here is going to throw a monkey wrench into everything. Saw Beckner there go through that bump. It's literally like a speed bump going downhill. As Garrett Grant's looking to make 1-2 moves to the inside heading into the turn. Jeremy Miller going to tap him. Just barely miss him, but sends 87 to Blaze McKinney wide.
Yeah, that was an aggressive move, but this is the time to make some of the aggressive moves. I'll addendum that a little bit in a second thought here, but Reese Schaefer will clear and get Jeremy Miller there. One thing we saw on Tuesday night, and I don't know if you saw it on Monday, we saw the comers and goers be a huge dividend into the race. Kenny Brady on Tuesday night fell back and then clawed all the way back, nearly won the race on his long run speed. Very easy to burn the tires off here, those rear tires especially, Hunter. So getting out of the get-go quick does not necessarily mean a positive end result.
No, we'll see it here in the first 5 or 10 laps, just how much fall off there is and how many drivers were using their stuff up a little bit too early on that initial lap. But right now it's a half-second gap for Marin to manage over Nate Stewart a little further back, on board with Zach Kerr and the SimCams Whiplash on board, just buying his time and losing. It was a little wonky exit coming out of 1, but preparing him for the S's.
And goes left to third gear. I'm sure a lot of different approaches here. Some drivers will put it at a higher gear than necessary just for the sake of less RPMs, less torque to those rear tires, keeping that Goodyear rubber on. Now back to the left, hopping a curb through our little makeshift chicane here. Got to straight line that, hopping all the curbs and the undulations. Now we're back into the hairpin, which normally we're hitting this at about 180 miles an hour. Now we're only hitting it at about 105. Takes a little bit of the steam out of it and the moves that you can make, but you still have to make the most of it that you can.
There he is going through turn 13. Going to slap the fender of the 7 a little bit. The 44 giving a sideways exit. Coming through and into turn 16 now as Kerr moves up to 5th. Skyley down to 6th. And for the moment, Zach Nichols has 7th, but Beckner hounded on him in 8th.
Yeah, Travis Beckner had an EOL on Tuesday night and had to recover from it. It really detrimented him, but he got himself, I believe, into the top 10, if memory does serve. Didn't have that same hindrance to deal with here today. Starting in the top 10, still in the top 10, and trying to battle for a little bit more, but he has David Weishart, a teammate right behind him, who is not backing down in any capacity here, as that conga line really stretches from, I'd say, 3rd place Dragman there, and we have a conga line really back to Venable here, maybe 2 or 3 car lengths separating each of those vehicles.
Yeah, looking through, and Venable holding on to that 10th spot for now. Looking at the lap times, already starting to see some fall off as we're looking through Garrett Grant and Jeremy Miller. It's 139.08 from Marin, 139.36 from Nate Stewart, and the 139.64 from Van Jungman. So time's already starting to drop off a tad bit, and Marin class of the field going to be the talk of the town all night long. Holy cannoli, Jeremy Miller saw him go through that little, I don't know if that's a turtle. It's a speed bump nonetheless, and he got some airtime on that right front. Yeah, Drugman in the 45, buying his time, just running his own pace in third. He's got one of the best behind him in the area. And again, he's still looking for his first win of the season. He had one get away from him a couple weeks ago at Kansas, and he'll look to the inside. That is Jake Nichols in the 73. Going to cut it pretty close, and Zach Kerr's looking for this battle to continue through the S's, although it likely won't.
Very difficult when you don't make that pass to the inside in turn one. Whoa, talk about airtime there, Drugman. When you don't complete that pass in turn one, it puts you on the outside for the S's. So you really want to make that pass clear, because if you don't, you're on the outside for the S's. Sets you up for a whole bunch of negativity. Unlike what the 12 is doing now, that's not negativity. That's a positive move. That's a net gain in the inside. That's a pass in the hairpin. Nichols drives it in deep, goes all the way out to Utah there using that runoff space, and he'll offset the charge.
Yeah, he was just trying to stay in front of the 12 of Zach Kerr, because now Kerr is trying to pounce at any given moment around the 73, whether that be on the outside or the inside. He'll have a sharp cut looking through towards turn, what is that, 16, 17, and 18. They don't count this as one turn, they count it as three. That's how big it is in Texas. They do it different, but pretty entertaining battle for that podium spot nonetheless. And closing in on that is the 7 of Scioli.
Yeah, James Scioli trying to throw his hat into the ring here and see what he can muster there in that number 7 car, trying to put some headway towards that number 12 of Zach Kerr. Again, he is the beneficiary of the win at Kansas on the 22nd, which, if I'm not mistaken, my memory will have to go back. I want to say that was a photo finish, if I'm not mistaken here. And here comes a move. 73 finally has the run to the inside, but as I said, can't clear. 45 has the ideal entry to the first S corner.
It was a close finish. I wouldn't necessarily say photo finish. It was about half a car, maybe 3/4 of a car length over the 73 of Jake Nichols that Scioli had, but nonetheless, he's closing in on this serpentine through the S's for third on deck. Yeah, learning every day. Little buffer in between the 7 and the 27 there, as Jake Nichols have a look to the inside. Not going to be enough there. Kerr going to try and rally up the troops and have a send into turn 13.
A little lock up there from Kerr. But again, here you come. Now he has the run, but now what does Nichols have? He has the run as we have 2 back-to-back left-hand turns here through the arena section, and he's going to try to shut the door on the 12. 12 has just a whisker of breathing room here, and now he'll be able to take advantage of that in the double right-hander. And Scioli, he's trying to shove his way through and make that 73 go 2 positions down. Now we set ourselves up for 2 left-hand corners.
Pounce through 19, and it's going to be a wider exit for that 12, but they'll complete the pass on Jake Nichols. Scioli looking to the inside, and closing in is the 27 of Travis Beckner. A little send deeper there through turn 20. Nichols will have the run for the moment to keep that 5th position, but here comes Travis Beckner, and he'll look to have a deep send going into 1.
Yeah, really, that's something here that COTA is super good for, is these switchbacks that aren't advantageous to the driver. It's good for us because it creates some good side-by-side racing. You know, just as I said in turn one, just as we saw there on the back end of the circuit. You clear, you might be side-by-side and have the ideal run through one corner, but you don't have it through the next as everybody tiptoes through the S's. The 12 hops that little turtle curve here, and as we head into the chute, we'll say, as we go back and showcase the battle for the lead, which is coming into fruition actually. Last lap, 0.3 of a second faster for the second place car of Stewart to Marin. You can see there 41 to a 47, and that gap is effectively 2 car lengths through the arena.
Yeah, Nate Stewart's keeping the 24 on his toes for now. 5 laps in, still got pretty good pace to keep up with him. It's going to make the pit stops a lot more interesting because these guys cannot go all the way on fuel. I don't know what the concern will be for tires, if guys will take all 4 or if they choose to do 2 or none. Monday, I know for a fact that tire wear wasn't that big of an issue, but fuel was. So guys just did about half a can or full can of fuel and not even take tires. So we'll have to see if the Xfinity car is a little bit different. I would assume so compared to the next gen, but we'll see what the lap times are this time through. And it's still about 3 car lengths between the 24 and the 05, and then it's 5 seconds back to third place Van Jugman.
Yeah, and that's where you have this big serpentine belt, as you said, kind of more akin to the automotive world there. Something interesting there, Hunter, that we don't ever have to worry about here in the iRacing service. Typically, we're able to pull up the best time graphic here. We use this quite frequently. I guess it actually is working for him, but we'll go back to Zach Kerr, and we'll go back to Jake Nichols, and we'll go to Scioli. Do you see a trend here? I have no best lap. Do you know the reason for that? To qualify,
I do not know the reason for that.
To qualify on iRacing as a best lap, you can't have any incident points on that lap. And per discussions we've already had, nobody is running this race incident free. Therefore, we're not really going to have a whole lot of quote-unquote best laps to reference. So it's going to be a lot more manual work for us in that capacity, unless these guys can stay on circuit.
I see quite a few. The fastest I've seen, I only see about
5
7
or 6
total.
Yeah.
The best of those is Bryce Senesac, a 140.8. Currently, the best lap of the race so far.
Yeah, so that if there, I don't think there's a point for that, but if there was, it would be to him because that's the only one that's registered here. As a little dooring action there, Kerr and Drugman there. Now we just have an absolute gaggle to take out of Matt Malone's library there. I am allowed to do that. Little contact there through the back end of the arena here, 19 and 20. Kerr is getting a little impatient. He wants to have a stab at those leaders who are getting further and further off into the distance.
Yeah, and Stewart's actually getting closer and closer to Marin that time by 2 car lengths, breaking up the front 2 now. Still not close enough to where he can go in and send it, but he was still about 10th quicker that last time.
Oh, Marin went really wide, missed the apex, but again, that will not be to any detriment there. But we'll see what happens coming through the S's. Can Marin get through them cleanly and set himself up for a run through the chute? You can just see Stewart just getting a little bit of clean air on the nose of that 05, just getting a little bit lower through each of the corners and getting that clean air. Reading in chat that it is clean air is very vital here. Looks like Marin's getting through well at the present moment, keeping that stabilizer around 0.3.
He's looking through, and the gap's just growing between the front 2 and third place on back. I mean, this battle for the podium, we'll be talking about this the whole night because it's just bottlenecked up. And here comes the 12 looking to the inside of the 45. And now that's going to open up the door for Jake Nichols to try and poke his nose through. He's got a front row ticket to all this, a little door bang between the 45 and the 12. 73 going to send it into turn 15, and they'll have a look on the outside heading into 16.
We were nearly 3 wide here through the back end of the arena section. Now we head through the double right-hand complex, which switches us over to the final 2 left-handers. Here comes Scioli. Let's go 2 for 2. 2 by 2, 2 rows deep at COTA. That was not on anyone's bingo card. There's a little bit of contact, a lot of bit of contact. 7:45, 12, a lot of guys sideways. Optimistic dives into the final few corners here.
Jugman just went from 3rd all the way down to 8th, and He's already back up to 7th. I mean, these guys are swerving like crazy. Beckner had a bad exit. He's getting door banged now, actually, from Michael Venable. Not sure what that was all about, but it's gone from bad to worse for that 27.
And Scioli, here comes the 44 of Zach Nichols into the mix here, trying to get by Drugman there. And Drugman on his way to the arrears here. Was in 3rd, now he's in 7th. And some more behind him there. 44 Nichols, he's not going to give up through the S's. Contact through the S's. That's not usually side-by-side territory. Venable running the Joker lap here. He'll have to give that time up.
Yeah, he had no choice there. They were door-to-door in front of him, and he didn't want to put his car in a position where it could go worse. So we'll take a look at a replay of it.
Yeah, Hendry County Motorsports Park replay. You saw he just wanted to play it safe. He's like, yeah, I could squeeze myself in there or maybe give up 5 seconds and still have a car at the end of it. He chose the latter. Short-term loss for a long-term reward there.
Tell you what, long-term loss for that 45. A lap ago, he was sitting 3rd. Now he's fighting with Travis Beckner to stay in 8th. And here comes David Weishart, being quiet all night. Well, was quiet. Had a little fender bender there between him and the 45. And now here comes Furness looking to take that 10th spot from the inside to his outside, John Forbes Jr.
And yeah, let's just go 3 wide at COTA through the tightest section of the track. Again, just stuff that you don't expect to see, but area, it'll surprise you. There's still 3 abreast here. Weishart says, all right, I'll play nice. I'll let you guys have it for the time being. And that little bit of a slowdown, that puts Blaze McKinney into it. And then, oh, that's Jeremy Miller. A little bit too much beans there, or a little bit too much brake. He was dead sideways. He tried to get an overly advantageous move out of that.
I think Michael Venable had a moment. I'm not sure if that was a scheduled pit stop or if that was from the corner cutting that he had, but it looked like he was stopped there right in between 19 and 20.
Yeah, maybe sometimes what'll happen there is if you don't give the time back quick enough, you'll get some kind of a penalty from it. So hopefully that didn't all stem from his issues trying to evade some carnage there through the S's. But up front, Stewart still hanging through within about 0.3 of a second. He is in that dirty air range where, from what we're reading, you know, not a lot of room to evade it here. Even these Xfinity cars, not as bad as the next gen with the dirty air, but still enough to be had. And now the tires are starting to degrade, so it gets a little bit harder. But what we will say is Marin's definitely on the decline, and Stewart still has the faster car, just has to find a way to make it happen.
Yeah, the last time through, they ran about identical laps, 141.08 to Marin, 141.06 to Stewart. And they're still gapping everyone from 3rd on back. And look at Jeremy Miller in the 30, trying to get around David Weishart for 12th. The 29 has been mired back in traffic for a good bit of the day, but over the last couple laps, it's been more of a handful for him to adjust to. As looking throughout the rest of the top 10, some guys have made their way up. Zach Nichols up to 6th, Skyly up to 4th, and then behind him, Travis Beckner in the 27, up to 7th, although be it not in the cleanest of ways, but everyone was accordioned up a few laps ago, and everyone's more spread out now after the kerfuffle there over the last couple of laps.
And of course, with Hendry County Motorsports Park, that racing will be back there on Saturday, June 7th. You can catch Top Gun sprints, open wheel mods, and more. $20 for adults. Kids age 5 and under get in free. Family pack of 4 be $25. You can come see racing and Travis Beckner at the southernmost dirt track in America in Clewiston, Florida, off US Highway 27 at HendryRacing.com. Going through, finding some racing. I don't think we've talked too heavily about John Forbes Jr., and he is bump drafting of sorts. John Furness here, and oh my God, they are just flying over those chicane curves there. That is some crazy stuff, but he is trying to make some headway on Furness here. 2 drivers in that top 12 preliminarily. Big slide there from the 17. That won't make the Goodyears happy, as we are now 25% distance in. Taking a gander there, Hunter, that probably going to be splitting this thing down at, I would say, halfway. That was the strat on Tuesday night. I imagine it was probably the strat on Monday night, so about 9 more laps to suffer on these tires or so.
Yeah, that might be the best opportunity for these guys, or if tire wear is a bigger concern than what guys had initially hoped for, then if you really want to, you can stay out and try to get an extra couple of laps with fresher tires than everyone else at the end, although I'm not sure how much of a strategy that is. But again, the front two, they're still close nose and tail. Pit stops might be the deciding factor in this, unless either the 24 or the 05 have a mishap before them.
Yeah, the difference here at COTA between getting, at least in the truck series race, so I guess my estimate of when they were in the S is a little bit off there, but the difference here at COTA with tire wear, at least on Tuesday, it was at 2 seconds a lap. So if you do the undercut, instant 2 seconds. If you do the overcut, then you're having a back from behind. So a lot of drivers ended up pitting on the same lap. But if you want to be advantageous or slightly risque, you can try to get that extra time. I think we are roughly, what we qualified at 138, so we're running 141, so roughly 3 seconds off what we qualified at.
Looking through as times are dwindling, or yeah, they're getting slower into the mid 141, some in the 142s and 143s. Tire wear is starting to become a little bit more of a factor, at least from the fastest lap that we saw, still from Senesac at 140.8. It's about a second, 2 or 3 second fall off for most of these guys.
Yep, and again, we don't have best laps to reference for a lot of the field due to the reasons we've said. And I think from what I remember Jacob saying, it was around 2,200 incidents, via the iRacing system were recorded on Monday night. I don't think we got the Tuesday night figure, but obviously COTA is a track that has its issues in that department here. But here comes a potential battle for the lead. He was in send it range. As you can see, the brake rotors glowing. Usually that's not something you see in the daytime. This goes to show how aggressive the braking is here at COTA. But I'd say the average gap first to second, probably a car length closer than even it was. He's around 2.5 tenths per lap, just waiting for the mistake, waiting for the opportunity.
Dialed in here through the S's and then through the short chute.
You can see how much tighter of a line he ran there, getting all 4 tires on the red, trying to just open up an opportunity through the hairpin. But again, just with the lack of speed they now have in that hairpin makes it a lot harder. But now he is so close through the first of the arena section. Do have Greg Mitchell in the pits. I don't know if that's scheduled or not. But a couple guys have already made some pit stops. Alan Fox, Forrest Smith. What? That's not how you do that normally.
It's a new way of going on the pit road.
Have to investigate that on our Hendry County Motorsports Park replay. Oh, he spun out and then just decided to pull a Kyle Busch, I guess, and just back into the pit. So whatever works.
Better than turning around and getting in front of someone else and then having a collision on pit road. That's one way to go about it, but unfortunate for that to happen to Forrest Smith. And still looking at David Weishart down to 13th, Miller up to 12th, and Blaze McKinney holding solid in 11th.
All right, and I do have some reports here from my back-end software of some faux pas that have happened. That is Ben Pierce and Forrest Smith. Yeah. No bueno for either of those drivers. Alan Fox we already saw. This is Jonathan Evans and Daniel Day in turn number 20. So we'll kind of go through our thrills and spills reel right here, I suppose. This is Nico Servideo off the final corner. Yeah, that was scary for Anna Sogak there. Casey Lakatis. Wish I had the Benny Hill theme song to play right now. This was on lap 1. We missed some of this. And obviously you could see Anna Sogak. He was a part of that faux pas as well. So that was our thrills and spills blooper reel. If you were in it, sorry. But maybe your race is getting better here. Lap number 14. Again, top 2 staying right close together. Speaking of staying close together, the back end of the top 10. McKinney just talked about him. Weishart, Jeremy Miller, they're all in close proximity. Now we have side-by-side Wright and DeWeese.
Yeah, looking throughout the field, the 13 and the 48, close nose and tail racing there. Jeff Wright sitting, I want to say, pretty good in the point standings, sitting 7th right now. Braxton DeWeese, on the other hand, looking for where he is at in the points. It's not high up. It is
Braxton DeWeese, 24th.
Yeah.
And here comes a dive. Here comes John Furness underneath Drugman there. He is now going to fall from 3rd to 10th. Forbes was able to drive on through there. So a move that number 45, who was battling, remember, started 4th, was up to 3rd, but clearly he has overly exerted those good years and is now paying that price for it.
Indeed, as the longer the run went on, here comes Matt Kemp coming into pit road.
Matt Kemp and Garrett Grant making a dive underneath Bryce Senesac. A little contact to be had between the 5 and the 09, and that is not the racing line through the S's, but Garrett Grant will make his way through and make it happen here as they come through the opening sequence. This is all around the 15th starting position at the present moment. And again, just have to look at that gap there. First, second, right on top of each other, and we've talked about it a few times, but it just keeps growing. We're back to 9 seconds back to Zach Kerr in 3rd. Mind you, Kerr didn't start there. He's had to move up 5 spots to get there.
Yeah, he was somewhere in the middle of that conga line that just kind of bottlenecked in the early stages of the race, but has navigated through the chaos and is sole possession of the 3rd spot for the time being. Meanwhile, Weishart making the move around Blaze McKinney. McKinney down to 13th, Weishart up to 12th, and Jeremy Miller knocking on the door for a top 10, sitting in 11th.
Oh, is this our closest battle for the lead that we've had yet? He's within 0.2 of a second. He's looking. Is that just to get him looking in the mirror? Nope, that's to make the actual dive. Here comes the crossover. Drove in too deep. Marin gets the run. He can't say he didn't try, but that move will not persevere.
The tires there on that one too, trying to get slowed down, trying to stop right before that apex, and where, oh, now we hit that turtle, so it's gone from bad to worse for the 05. Just trying something out, I'm assuming before the end of the tire cycle, although don't want to do that before pit road and have a bad pit stop. So I mean, we'll see when the 05 and the 24 decide to pit.
Yeah, and I mean, you expect lap number 20, but will one of them pick lap number 19? Will it be Marin to preserve and try to get a lead, or will it be Nate Stewart to try to do the overcut on the jump there? So we'll see what happens. Who else do we have? Anna Sogak in the pits. We just saw his issues that he had earlier in the event, and this is the closest live battle on the racetrack for the lead. As we come on through here, a little bit of traffic. Should be Nico Servideo. He'll be someone who will go a lap down in a little bit. Shouldn't be too much of an issue for the leaders here.
Won't be that big of an issue. We'll have to see what the difference in the lap time is. I don't see a last lap for Marin before this one, but it was a 1:41.9 for Nate Stewart. A better exit there for Marin from what I can see.
Yeah, just about dead
Nate
even
Stewart
there on the lap times.
Stewart won't send it in this time in the 1. He'll save the tires for this corner. See if he can make up any more time through the S's.
We can see here. Look at him. He's putting it into 3rd. That's the rear tire saving tactic. You could get easily through this section in 2nd, but if you do it in 3rd, well, there's your 2nd. But you get the RPMs, you get the drive off, but you get that extra strain on those Goodyear Eagles on the rear of the car. So, and now he'll hop through. I didn't realize how much elevation there was. They really kind of fly off those curbs there, heading up to a max speed of 104 into the hairpin.
Like a big bump going downhill or going through a twisty, windy road on a back road to some no-name town. Best way I can describe it, just from seeing it here. But Nate Stewart.
Oh, here
got
we come.
a good look at the 24. He's going to be on the outside, but he'll have to duck and head low through turn 16.
That was kind of a defensive entry there from Marin, middle of the track. Made Stewart have to go high, but that gave him a good crossover opportunity, and that is Servideo going all the way out yonder, letting these guys through. But this is the closest that Stewart has been Turn 19 really isn't a passing opportunity. I wouldn't even call turn 20 an opportunity. But if you can get off of turn 20, that gives you a good run up the hill into turn 1, which is a passing opportunity.
Yeah, looking through, it looks like Marin got the better runoff exit that time. Still within 3 car lengths of the leader is Nate Stewart, but over 10 seconds of buffer between them and third place Zach Kerr.
Yeah, Zach Kerr's last lap of 42.5. Not getting laps registered up front for the leaders. Again, myriad of issues. Usually it records the last lap. Not too sure about what's going on in that capacity, but either way, do the best we can with the data that we have, and some exciting racing that we're having here today. Now, again, if you're looking for something exciting, you can check out Elite Entertainment, located in Boiling Spring, South Carolina. High-quality band production for any occasion at any location. Singo, karaoke, and more. Visit the link tree in the description. Elite Entertainment, as this race is Elite Entertainment. Nate Stewart is just throwing everything at it except the front bumper, which maybe he'll do that at lap 39, but doing a lot of clean racing, trying to get by without the bumper. Hasn't been successful, but here's another opportunity.
Really good opportunity on the outside through 14 into 15. He'll have to cut it back to try and get a good run at 16. A little rear tire spin. Still close to the bumper, but not enough to make a move through 16, 17, or 18. He'll have to bide his time and try to rally up the troops for a nice exit off turn 20.
Yeah, this is where I would say I'd give Marin the upper hand and these left-handers right here, and he'll cut the track a little bit more. That gets him a little closer, but you can see Marin driving deeper in, gains about half a car length on entry. But if Stewart can take advantage, he'd be able to get the better exit. But Marin kind of got the best of both worlds there, got the better entry, but still towed him a little bit on corner exit.
Indeed, as they'll rally into turn 1, and Stewart going to try and cut across there, as we got some pit stops from some of the front runners in the top 5. Jake Nichols, I think Zach Nichols as well, not related, but
Weishart.
Jeremy Miller in the back coming
not
through.
Weishart. Jeremy Miller coming in behind that. Again, this huge pit wall and fence does impede on our pit road visuals a little bit. There's Blaze McKinney coming in, and this is lap 19. Remember, we talked about it. That's about a 2 to 3 second gain over drivers who pit this lap. So if you're close to somebody else, you're probably gonna flip-flop them, leapfrog them at the exit of the pit cycle, and you'll just have to sustain with those lap older tires here. And I would bet the farm there, Hunter, that both these guys are going to come this time by, because I think each of them know what the other wants to do, and they're just going to equalize each other out with those thoughts.
Yeah, it's all a matter of time, really, and game of cat and mouse with who pits first and who doesn't. Obviously, Nate Stewart's going to wait for the 24 to come down pit road. Don't want to be off sequence from that. Otherwise, that could result in catastrophic failure. It could be multiple seconds behind. But we'll see if they come in this time by.
Yep. Look, we're going to bear to the left side of the circuit, and we are not. We're going to stay out. So they'll complete the halfway lap. This is taking the halfway lap. The completion of it, lap number 20, will be 50% distance here in the Florida State Builders Area Pro Series at COTA, round number 11, second to last race in the regular season. Guys trying to get themselves situated here in their endeavors to the playoffs in 3 weeks' time. Here comes Beckner, here comes Scioli here, coming to the attention of their crew. John Furness staying on track, Weishart staying out. But again, here comes pit stops, money time here at COTA. Drugman. And another point of contention here, Hunter, the exit of the pits here at COTA, it throws you directly into traffic. Like, look at that. They're exiting the pits. It throws you right into traffic. So you just have to hope that you enter the track at a clean piece of real estate.
Yeah, don't make a mental error going into turn 1. That's going to be really bad for you. And of course, we cut away from the battle for the lead for 5 seconds to look at turn 1, and we had a passing.
Yeah, because absolutely, that's just how life works. As soon as you stop paying attention for something for 10 minutes, what you were looking for actually happens here. Whoa, yeah, talk about airtime there. Tony Hawk would be proud. They're off a half pipe. Marin couldn't recover off that turtle and just really kind of parted the seas for Nate Stewart to take advantage.
It's the big break that Nate Stewart needed, and especially right before pit stops. So now Marin's going to have to try and close that gap down in between pit stops or on the second half of this run. I'm still not sure when these guys are going to come down pit road. My guess is that they're letting the fuel window go all the way down, kind of similar to what we saw on Monday night, but a number of other drivers disagree. They've already come down and made their pit stops for the day.
Yeah, exactly that. Here is we'll pull up the stints on the ticker. You'll be able to see just based on the number that you see. If it's 20 or 21, they have yet to pit. If it's a number less than that, they have obviously pit that many laps ago. So you see Jake Nichols being the first driver to pit, and he's 37 seconds back. A pit lane exchange here. Looks like it'll cost you about 39 seconds on the stopwatch.
Indeed, so that's not always an advantage. Being the first one on fresher tires, especially on a road course. But Zach Kerr has come down, completed his pit stop. He's off and away.
But Nate Stewart, I mean, they have all that green AstroTurf to use. He was using the actual grass there, taking advantage of all the space. And you have to think about it from his perspective. He's been using Sebastian Marin as a brake reference for the last 19 laps or so. He's up front now. He's like, oh, crap, I got to figure this out myself now. It does take you, a little bit of time to gain your bearings, figure out your own brake points, and allow you to set sail.
Indeed, as we mentioned beforehand, that this has been a rough season for Nate Stewart so far. 21st in points, only one top 5 and one top 10. That came at Watkins Glen as we got more guys coming down pit road, but is a big race for Nate Stewart in the 05, and not sure if they're going to pit this time through, but his road course experience nonetheless has been stellar for area in season 7. If he can get a win here, we're halfway through. If he could get a win, he'd still be within the top 20 range and would just have to make through Talladega unscathed, but we still got half a race left and still got Sebastian Marin trailing him. The class of the field all season long, 5 wins to his name through 10 races, trying to make it win number 6 tonight. He came up just a spot short in the only other road course race at Watkins Glen back in race number 5, and that was to Logan Clampett. So if that move in the S's is a deciding factor in this one, could be crucial for that number 24.
And of course, no road courses to interrupt in the playoffs, as we'll start things off at Bristol Motor Speedway. So that'll make things interesting there. Then we'll head to the Nashville Super Speedway, the 1 1/3 mile. Two concrete tracks will be round 1. We'll go to Vegas, and then we'll go to the now no longer existing Auto Club Speedway, sad to say. And then our championship race the last day of July, we'll head to Charlotte, which in the real world may actually get a championship race in a few years, but the championship winner will be determined on a speedway skill set, not a road course skill set, which I'm going to give the 24 the advantage on.
I gotta wonder if that actually happens for Charlotte. I gotta wonder how cold the weekend's gonna be.
Whoa! 30 in the 17. There goes another Joker lap, and he'll have to slow that down. I'd imagine to be mid-50s, and it would take Charlotte. We were talking off air that Charlotte would have to have a lot of refurb done if it's going to hold a championship race. So that is years out. But yeah, NASCAR looking to do some championship rotation there. Vegas, they're going to play well with the SMI tracks. Vegas is on the table. Not Talladega. I've heard Kansas. I have heard Darlington. I've heard Charlotte. I think basically anything north of North Carolina is off the table there. So things to look forward to in the real world future, but that is not our take right now. We are watching some good stuff here. Zach Kerr, 2 Hendry County guys, Beckner and Kerr, they have blended out right next to each other. Kerr, the faster of the two, trying to get by Travis.
Coming through, and for Hendrick County, I know it's not in the read this week, but for the next race, there's only going to be a couple more weekends of events there at the track before their summer break. So make sure you get out to a racetrack, southernmost Hendrick County Motorsports Park. They've got a few more dates for June, and then they're all for July and August, and then they resume operations in September. It's essentially, from what Travis has told me, it's essentially too hot down there. Florida's already hot enough as is, so summertime, it's a big cool off for the drivers, the officials, everyone that operates that racetrack. So get out there while you can before they get to summer break. And, well, Nate Stewart, 4 car lengths of an advantage over Sebastian Marin. He's been able to dwindle that time. And then he's got Casey Lacatas in a lap car closing in. He's already pitted. He's got fresher tires. But the question remains, when will the front 2 come down pit road?
Yeah, still waiting for that opportunity here as we have a good battle here at the 15th spot. Brad Slaughter, I don't think we've talked about him. He's working his efforts on, actually, never mind. Nate Stewart go. Why is it as soon as we get off the leader, something happens here? Nate Stewart goes wide. Something happened. We're just going to, I guess we can't stop focusing on the leaders there, Hunter.
Crazy. But we'll take another replay at it. And, oh my gosh.
Marin missed the pits.
Wow. So he tried to undercut the 05 of Nate Stewart, and that failed miserably for him. He didn't get slowed down in time, and that might be what cost him the race.
Yeah, let's see here from our top-down perspective here. No, he was driving in full send, trying to get every last bit of steam possible. And I think Stewart saw maybe in his peripheral. No, he just went super wide as a normal corner entry there. But, yeah, Marin, 2 mistakes. And now that's a 3.6-second buffer that he has now created, which I would debatably say, outside of a mistake, probably race ending, at least from a winning perspective.
Absolutely. And it looked like, because the gap at one point was about 8 or 9 car lengths between the 05 and the 24, with Stewart leading. Marin was closing that gap. It seemed like he didn't really need to do that or to be that aggressive, at least trying to get on the pit road, but who knows? They still have to make a pit stop. The 05 and the 24, they still have to do it as this battle will continue. Now, John Furness in the 28 and Brad Slaughter in the 8.
Now we brought up some math earlier, Hunter, so now let's put on our Larry Mack hat for a second. Let's pull up Jake Stewart. I don't even know who that is. I just made up a name. Let's pull up Jake Nichols here on this graphic. Wrong one. It'd help if I pulled up the right graphic. Wait. Hold the phone here. Did he not pit yet either? It says he drove through the pits. I wonder if he... but either way, here comes Nate Stewart into the pits. Sebastian Marin staying out. Now I have to wonder why it says that... it says Jake Stewart in 3rd and Scioli in 4th have been in the pits for 2 seconds, which that doesn't make sense to me. But the first driver who has pit is Zach Kerr. So this, my point is still valid. Zach Kerr, 24 seconds behind the race leader right now. His time in the pits was 38 seconds. That means, and it's proven, he is now ahead of Nate Stewart.
For now.
I know, for now, but it's a dramatic point that Stewart will have to inevitably pass him. But that just goes to show how long those older tires cost Stewart on the stopwatch.
Get clarification if the 7 and the 73 came down pit road real quick. Give me about 1 minute, maybe less.
We'll see what happened, but Sebastian Marin still has yet to pit. Now, obviously, he has put himself in quite the detriment due to the nature of the mistakes he's made, and now he's staying out. Maybe he's just hoping and praying that something happens. Maybe in his benefit, Nate Stewart will have some problems getting through the field here, trying to get through and by Zach Nichols through the arena section. They're both slideways here, as I don't think the 44 pit a few laps ago. Stewart getting a little bit dicey, a little bit aggressive and physical on his way back to the front.
I can confirm that the 73 and the 7, they have made their pit stops. It's just the glitch in the system, if you will. But the 73, the 7, the 12, the 27, they've all made their pit stops. They're all done, at least as far as tires and fuel are concerned. So Jake Nichols, essentially the best one with fresher tires, as I think Marin's on the pit road right now.
Yes,
so
sir.
It's a game of cat and mouse. Who can catch Jake Nichols before this one's said and done?
And I believe we'll wait for the timing to scroll through here. But Nate Stewart showing 7 seconds behind, and more importantly, 3 drivers behind Jake Nichols with 15 circuits around COTA to remain. And let's see what the gap is back to Marin. Marin is now 5 seconds behind Nate Stewart, and he also has a number 44 of Zach Nichols in the middle of that now. So again, the very few mistakes we've seen Marin make all season, I mean, let's be real, he probably was going to lose at some point because Stewart was so fast, but he, threw any chance he had out by those 2 faux pas.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to see how fast he is on the short run because it's going to be a shorter stint with this set of tires than the initial one, and he won't have to try and make a move on the pit road this time. So only a matter of time will tell. About 1.6 seconds separating Jake Nichols in this battle for second here between Scioli and Zach Kerr, and not too far behind you see the 27 of Beckner, and then the 05 of Nate Stewart just creeping into the picture. He's now 5 seconds back from race leader Jake Nichols.
Yeah, 2 seconds back from the last check that we had as another side-by-side battle. Jeremy Miller and John Forbes. I think Forbes was sideways through that whole pass, but he saved it at corner exit. So great job there by the 17, getting himself in a good spot. Some good stuff to be had. Some other good stuff to be had is the High Banks podcast. 2 blue-collar guys, Nick and Alex, talking about NASCAR and more, and a lot of NASCAR to talk about if you've been watching today's news updates. But listen to episode 228 with Jacob Bell, amongst the other episodes available there on Spotify, the High Banks podcast. Between the new leak manufacturer in the truck series and more lawsuit news, they will probably have a great deal of stuff to talk about on their next episodes. Make sure you stay tuned for that one.
Yeah, I wonder who's getting the boot for that one.
See here, indeed. Here comes Matt Kemp. Matt Kemp underneath Brad Slaughter. This is 18th, 19th. That's Jeff Wright. Rather 18th, 19th, 20th. Wright being in the 18th spot. Kemp not getting the runoff, and that will allow Slaughter to persevere. But now full send into turn number 1 is the 51. Can he make the corner? He will. Slaughter won't have a crossover. And that's Anna Sogak to his arrears here. This is all back end of the field. And it looks as though things are getting spicy up here. Stewart has already closed in on Beckner and gives him a little bit of contact.
A little fender bender, never hurt nobody, but if you're the 05 of Nate Stewart, you've got no time to waste. You want to maximize the tire life you got now compared to the rest of the field. And looking through, oh, my ATVO was glitched, so I can't even say, oh, they're going to touch again, but more tire spin from the 05 of Nate Stewart, door-to-door for 4th, entering turn 20. Stewart with the inside line. He's going to run it up a bit on the 27 of Beckner, and now 3.7 seconds separating Stewart from Jake Nichols.
3.7 seconds, and more importantly, 2 automobiles in the form of Zach Kerr and James Scioli, as Beckner says, I ain't done. You roughed me up, but I'm not just rolling over and playing dead. I want another stab at it. He took a stab at it into turn number 1. He's going to try to remain side by side through the S's. We all know how that works out. It doesn't, so he'll fall back in line, and now Stewart will have to get on his merry way, and only about, roughly 2 seconds or so to the next position, and that gap is going down ever so quickly, as you're going to see those fresh tires and overall the faster car just doing its work.
Indeed, and the gap's still dwindling for the 05 to the 73. But that battle in front of him is still heating up. Kerr going to have a send to the inside of Scioli for that second position. Oh, really bad tire spin coming out of, I believe that was 13, 14. Now they're coming through turn 15. But here comes Nate Stewart closing in.
Yeah, he is already there as it comes on through. And we do have some other things that we can show you in a few minutes' time, some back-end replays that have queued up drivers having some issues. But all in all, this battle is on its way, and we'll see how quickly it takes Stewart to get by. I don't imagine much time at all. The gap to the leader, well, you can see the leader in the shot there. Sub 3 seconds, sub 2.5 seconds. Stewart is just driving his lights out here. Again, trying to get in the playoffs, trying to get that monkey off his back here at Circuit of the Americas. Sebastian Marin, you can see him in the back of the shot, that magenta car. He has ruined his winnings here today, barring an absolute crazy turn of events, but there is Stewart underneath and clear of the 12 of Kerr.
Moves up to the podium paying position in third and has his eyes set on the 7 of Scioli. He's about half a second up the road, coming through the S's, where he manages to enter himself for the short shoot so perfect.
Yes, he is just doing he's doing work that, you know, Boris said, Ron Fellows, all those ringers of back in the day, they'd be proud of the moves he's making. As soon as I give him credit, he goes Tokyo Drift and gets that left rear out sideways and the right rear to boot, and he'll have to recover, and he'll recover quite nicely, and he'll just dive in and as if Scioli wasn't even there.
Indeed, and up to second is Nate Stewart, so now 1.7 seconds is all that's separating him between victory against the 73 Jake Nichols, and just like that, the 7 and the 12 resume battle for third.
Yeah, looks like Kerr tried to get on the beans a little bit too hard there, got a little sideways and lost any chance he had to make that pass, and you could just see, you know, we're just going to focus on this for about 30 seconds, because if I go off and look at something else, Nate Stewart will have taken the lead. That's just how our night has been going. Jake Nichols on the stopwatch, I will say last time by, 2 seconds faster. And let's see what it updates to, a 41.3, about, yeah, 1 1/3 seconds. He's 0.8 back. Do the math. We're going to have a lead change by the end of this lap.
Best bet there. The lap time, you can tell the 05 better tires than the 73. Pitting later, better tire life for the 05, and Jake Nichols going to have to play a lot of defense here, and Sebastian Marin's still got to work through the likes of Beckner, Kerr, and Scioli if he wants to get back up to the 05 of Nate Stewart before that failed attempt on the pit road, but he's still got a fast car. It's just going to take a little bit more time to get through the field.
Yeah, Marin's, you know, having to reacclimate his goals here, barring an absolute catastrophe from Stewart. I think his goal is going to be to get to second, minimum third, and I think that is fully achievable here. And now we're going to come through the stadium section, and Jake Stewart, I keep combining the names. Jake Nichols is going to be in a very dangerous spot here, because now the arena section, the most difficult part of the track to do on old tires, because it's so finessing on the throttle. Stewart has that ability. Jake doesn't have it, and here we are, nose to tail for the race lead.
Coming through turn 18, the exit of 18 right now. Set up for 19. Jake's going to have to block him with all that he can. It's only going to be a matter of time, though, before the 05 gets around Nichols. He'll have no, he won't look into turn 20, but he'll set him up for the front stretch and into turn 1. Got to imagine he's got a strong exit. They're going to be door-to-door on the front stretch, although not for long. Good exit from Nichols.
Yeah, just enough power, but I foresee a dive here into turn number 1. I foresee it, and it comes into fruition, but as we talked about here, COTA, if he doesn't clear, he's on the outside through the S's, but don't matter, he cleared. Nate Stewart back to first, 10 laps to go.
10 laps to go, and he's got to keep a clean race from here on out. Sebastian Marin 3 seconds behind. He's gotten around Beckner for 5th. He's got to work around Kerr and Scioli. Now, the best case for him is to do it in a 2-for-1, really on the front stretch if that's possible, and then impossible send in the 1, but you don't want to overcook the tires yet. You still have time to make something out of nothing. So he's going into turn 13. No, turn 12. Now they're going to head into turn 13, but he's still closing the gap between those guys in front of him.
You brave man trying to do corner numbers here. I've given up with that, but who has not given up is Zach Kerr, trying to make the move there on Scioli, and outside here he goes. Now outside on the double left-hander. Scioli and the 12 make some contact. They're both sideways. Here comes a shot from Kerr to the back bumper. He'll fall back in line, and that all this kerfuffling allows the 24 of Marin to get that much closer. Double right-hand complex here. Marin, using all those fresh tires, has just eliminated about 0.5 of a second in about 500 feet.
Well, it's nearly looking picture perfect for Marin. He is all up on that bumper of Kerr. Kerr's actually going to let him go. That works out for Marin quite nicely. Beckner's going to reel in the 12. So Marin's going to have to figure out how to get around the 7 now before he can get up to the 73. Although by this point next lap, the 73 could be within the reach of James Scioli.
Yeah, I would say so, because now, well, just huge stop there. Jake Nichols really just backed things up through turn number 1. That got the 7 even that much more in the clutches of the 24. The 24 using every last bit of real estate through the S's, and now he's stuck. If he's going to have to set this up, this is what cost him the lead earlier, and you can tell he's really struggling through these S's to get himself coordinated through the dirty air, and a lack of visibility. Now he's going to fall off the cliff through the bump through the chicane, misses the apex there. That cost him a little bit of time into the hairpin.
Yeah, they'll have to make it up through turn 12, and Conga line forming again, 2nd to 6th on the screen. Close nose and tail battles from here on. Beckner being the last one in 6th, but still having a solid showing in that number 27. Marin right in the middle of all this, gonna have to figure a way sooner rather than later about getting around James Skiley, whether that be coming through this time or next lap.
Now the gap was to the lead at about a minimum of 3 seconds not that long ago between Marin and Stewart. Now just as Marin struggles through this traffic, it's up to nearly 4 seconds. Now there's the pass by Scioli. Now he'll set his sights on the 73 of Jake Nichols. And then it's just going to be, the assumption is going to be he's just going to settle in second, do what he can, and just make the most of it. But, you know, he's made some mistakes. Who's to say Nate Stewart doesn't make a faux pas, go off track, and make it a little bit tight? It's all possible.
Yeah, I mean, it's not out of the question that it could happen, but we'll have to see here. He's right on, well, not yet on the bumper, but he's closing in on Jake Nichols, and it'll be a matter of time before he works his way around that 73.
Yes, it is. And, you know, we just talked about the 24 struggling through the S's, and it still just does not look like this is his comfort zone. Again, the 73 on much older tires, and he pulls away very slightly, but still does pull away through the S's. So if Marin comes back to Circuit of the Americas, I think that is certainly going to be a point of this track he will want to put some effort to, because it's certainly not been his playground here today. Did talk about the gap up front, and it does appear to be going down a little bit. It does skew ebbs and flows here on the road courses, but maybe Stewart has just backed off a little bit, knowing that he doesn't have too much to fight for at the present moment. But again, Kerr and Scioli, these guys have Velcroed to each other, and look at, they're barely giving each other space here through the arena.
Yeah, they're trying to be the next one in line to work their way around Jake Nichols into 73, because in a matter of moments, that 24 seems like he's going to find his way around Jake Nichols, whether that be now or heading into turn 1, but he is as close to the bumper as he's ever been.
Yes, he is, and we'll see who gets the run, but someone who did get the run is Marin. He is looking, he pulled out a line. I think he's certainly in range to make the turn 1 dive. Can he do it? Can he clear and set sail? Well, he's going to do it. Can he clear and set sail? That's the second half of the question.
No question about it. He'll do it. And now 3.8 seconds and climbing up towards 4 is all that separates Sebastian Marin and Nate Stewart. And you got to wonder, if he didn't have that bobble coming into pit road, how closer it could have been between the 24 and the 05, but still 7 laps remaining for the 24 to make up that ground he lost.
Now I'm just looking here at some back end stuff. Let me see if this is validated. I'm getting a John Furness. Is John Furness still running on the racetrack? It's showing him as disqualified from the session. Interesting, and he is not running, so it should be true. But here's 64, Ed Robertson, having a little bit of issue here. This is triggering this is Sebastian Marin's issue that we already saw. And another Ed Robertson issue. He had a very similar faux pas there. Just some of the mistakes that we have missed over the course of the event.
Looking at Brad Slaughter again around Daniel Day in the 61. For 20th
spot, a little bit further up. Van Drugman, he is still in the top 10 and 8th, and John Forbes trying to make that 9th, really shoving that car in there, shoving him in there as much as physically possible. down there to the inside, but of course now it's going to put him on the outside for the double left-handers. 45 will have the ideal line. He will clear. 17 will probably cross over. He will not. Lost the run, wasn't able to.
Looking in, and yeah, that 45 before that mishap he had in the beginning seemed like he was not sure if he was going to be a front runner like the 05 and the 24, but at least a contender for that podium spot. But after that, he's settled into 8th and going to settle into 9th here. At least that's what Forbes Jr. is hoping of doing, trying to make him lose a position, but it won't be this lap. He'll still have a few more tries to do so.
Yeah, 6 more laps around at COTA, about 10 minutes of actual live racing left as this race continues on. And after this race, you might be looking for a snack, maybe a hot pocket. If you like things that are hot, head over to rickshotsauce.com for some of the best hot sauces made locally in South Florida. There's the Lokahatchee Classic, Golden Garlic, Palm Beach Pineapple, and South Beach Heat. You can follow the Rookie of the Year battle on Monday nights, the Rick's Hot Sauce Rookie of the Year battle and the Cup Series on the IDK Player YouTube channel. $100 prize. Sponsored by Rick's Hot Sauce for that highest finishing rookie. rickshotsauce.com. You guys still going at it. Slaughter and Day, who says battle for 20th means nothing. Hashtag not these guys. They want that 20th spot. Top 20. I mean, there's top 5s, there's top 10. Some guys count top 20 as a stat here, so trying to make that little distinction made. But going back to the 4th, 5th, 6th, we'll even throw Jake Nichols in that. 3rd through 6th here, 4 drivers under the blanket of about 1 second. And this will be some juicy stuff to close this race out.
Yeah, podium paint position still up for grabs. The 12 closed in on the bumper of Jake Nichols. Scioli down to 5th. Beckner trying to find a way around the 7, but it's getting tighter through the S's.
It is getting tighter. You can see that 73 starting to struggle, and at 12 he can't really shake Scioli, but at least he has a, you know, and rather than playing defense with Scioli, now he's playing offense on the 73. 73 certainly looking in the rear view mirror, not running defensively as much as you'd think, which could work to his benefit. 12 looking left. I think he's going to set up for a crossover looking right. And he'll do just that. If the 73 can hold on, he'll have the ideal line in about 3 corners. But Kerr will try to pull something off. Contact.
A little fender bender there. Here comes the 7 of Scioli. Close right back in. The 27 of Beckner there as well. And Scioli going to touch, and they're going to collide in the middle of 16 and 17. Kerr goes wide. Beckner now up to 4th after contact between the 7 of Scioli and the 12 of Zach Kerr.
Yeah, we'll check our Hendry County Motorsports Park replay. 2 Hendry County Motorsports cars involved in that little kerfuffle here. You can see the big dive, 609 into Hendry County, and then here comes Beckner down to the inside. He's like, well, you pushed my teammate off. I'm going to make sure you don't get that spot, as they'll carry on.
Now Travis Beckner sitting in the best spot possible for a podium. So he's close right up to the bumper. Jake Nichols there through turn 1. Scioli's going to have to rally the troops back, and Kerr's going to have to just keep a level head here in the next 4 laps.
Now, I'm not trying to start drama. I know it's our job as broadcasters to create drama. But Stewart is losing lead. You could see there, I mean, it does ebb and flow, but I'd say the average of the ebb and flow is down to about 2.5 seconds. Last time round, actually about 0.6 of a second faster for Marin. And if you do the math, 0.6 of a second a lap over 4 laps means that we're having a drag race to the finish. I know it's a stretch, but the math is mathing.
Yeah, something to keep in mind. There's still plenty of time for the 24 to close in, and a little further back, the 45 and the 17. Jugman and Forbes Jr. still nose and tail for that 8th spot, and then right behind them, Michael Venable mentioned that it looked like he had a wonky way on the pit road. Not sure if that was from a course cutting penalty or not, but nonetheless, he is still holding on to 10th for the time being. Jeremy Miller trying to erase that and put his name inside the top 10.
I feel like Jeremy Miller has had a chaotic day because many of the Hendry County replays we've seen, I feel like that's been some kind of a good save or something by Jeremy Miller. So a good day for him trying to get that top 10. And here we go back up front. Is this the time that Nichols finally loses the third spot? Beckner getting a little bit of that toe. He'll pull out of line. Will he make the dive? He will. Making the dive is one thing. Clearing it is another. He will not. Will they run door to door through the S's?
Depends on who backs off first, or if anyone backs off.
Let's see right here. Oh, that was an aggressive stance to try to stay in there. A little bit of contact. Beckner is going to have to back off to recover. Doesn't want to get a course-cutting penalty this late. That move will be averted, and that move will put Scioli to the back bumper of Beckner. But Beckner instantly gains that time back on Nichols.
Just like, actually,
Scioli
he might have
backs
had a
off.
course cut.
Yeah.
He might have had a course cut there. He left the 12 by, but nonetheless, it's still nose and tail racing from third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and don't look, well, actually, that's a lap car. Never mind. I thought Zach Nichols was joining the fray.
Yeah, that might have just been over his head a little bit there. Zach Nichols, as he is, I mean, he's in the shot, but he is still multiple seconds off, and our Sebastian Marin drama has slightly... We have just had a massive technical issue, folks. Working on it immediately. All right, we got Jacob Bell here, who is in the sim. He is going to radio call this last lap for us.
He is a little deafened, but we will make do with what we got on this final lap, as Jacob Bell is once again the admin for tonight, and he still has everything up and running. So they're heading into turn 12 now on the final lap. It's still about 1.5 seconds separating Nate Stewart from Sebastian Marin. Marin has closed the gap quite a bit, but still, you got to wonder if he was just able to hold on from that pit stop sequence where he tried to undercut Nate Stewart, how things could have been different. They're rolling through into the stadium section now. Rolling through turn 15, and now they're heading through 16 for the final time. Nate Stewart mentioned it earlier on. Best race this season was on a road course at Watkins Glen with a 5th place finish, and Sebastian Marin finished second in that race to Logan Clampett. And in a race where it seemed like Marin was going to be the class of the field and the one to keep an eye on, it was actually the 05 of Nate Stewart who kept his closest eye to the 24, Sebastian Marin, exiting turn 20 for the final time. He's going to punch his ticket into the playoffs with a win at Circuit of the Americas. Give it up. Nate Stewart gets the job done over Sebastian Marin, who comes home in second. Meanwhile, the podium battle is going to be between Travis Beckner and Zach Kerr. Off turn 20, it's going to be that 28 of Beckner. Excuse me, the 27. He finishes third. Zach Kerr fourth. James Scioli fifth. Jake Nichols down in the sixth position. Zach Nichols running in seventh. John Forbes Jr. holding off Van Drugman for the final time through 19 and 20. Not a close enough gap for the 45 to make a send on. He'll make it nonetheless, trying to get around him. Don't think it'll be done. Jeremy Miller going to hold on to a top 10 spot. Michael Venable down in 11th. David Weiss our 12th. And then the rest of the guys coming through for the finish. Garrick Grant working his way through for the final time. Going to be a solid finish for him, I believe, in 13th. Blaze McKinney down in 14th. Bryce Senesac at the moment in 15th.
Yep, as we finally get pictures up, folks. Again, working on a NASA rig here, so things just happened, but obviously congratulations will go to Nate Stewart getting that monkey off his back, getting the win here today. And let's go ahead and start with our post-race show here today at Circuit of the Americas. Final margin of victory as follows: for 2.3 seconds back, Stewart to Marin, Beckner in third, Kerr in fourth, James Scioli gets a fifth. The Nichols, Jake, and Zach finishing 6th and 7th, with Forbes, Drugman, and then Jeremy Miller sneaking out the top 10 there, of course, in 10th.
Yeah, rolling through. Michael Venable in 11th, Weishart 12th, Garrick Grant 13th, McKinney, Senesac inside the top 15, and then the rest is Schaefer, Wright, Kemp, DeWeese, and Slaughter.
All right, and then just finishing out things here today, we got Daniel Day, Casey Lacatus, Ed Robertson saw his issues there. Justin Sogak had issues. There's Alan Fox, John Furnass, he got DQ'd for some reason or another. Servideo, Mitchell, Payne, and Smith. And then just finishing out things, we have Ben Pierce and Jonathan Evans. So these guys already queued up here in the winner's circle on the podium, and let's go ahead, and I think Hunter has caught up with our race winner, finally getting the monkey off his back. Hunter has Nate Stewart.
It's a big night for Nate Stewart, topping off his best performance of the season. Also on a road course at Watkins Glen, followed up with a win at Circuit of the Americas. And Nate, that win will punch you into the playoffs. And as long as you can stay inside the top 20 after Talladega, you'll be set and sail for a championship opportunity. Tell us through your thoughts on the race and the pit stop sequence, because it looked like it was going to be between pit stops that would be the deciding factor.
Yeah, I don't know. Going into the race, I thought Sebastian was just going to blow my doors off starting on pole, to be honest with you. But I was able to stay with him because he wasn't using all of the track like I was that first run. And then he made that mistake in the S's, and I was able to slip by him. And then it was kind of a mind game between me and him, I feel like, seeing who was going to pit first and all that. And then I saw him, I want to say he tried to duck into pit road and then completely missed it. And then I was looking in my mirror when that happened, and I also blew the last corner watching him miss pit road. So I was like, okay, I got to pit this lap. So I came in, pitted, and then traffic gave me a little bit of a hard time. Nichols, after our Dover incident, gave me a hard time, which is fair enough. And then Beckner, me and him have kind of had some run-ins this season. He also gave me a hard time, which, I mean, fair enough. No harm, no foul. But getting through traffic was my biggest worry. And thankfully, it looked like traffic held up Sebastian enough to where I was able to hang on.
Yeah, looking through right now as the points are updated, you've jumped all the way up to 13th in the standings with a win. You've got about I'm going to guesstimate about a 30-point cushion between the 20th spot in points. So we are on off week next week for the update, but good momentum heading into Talladega in 2 weeks' time. And what can you do to just stay inside the top 20 after Dega and just keep your car in one piece?
Is Dega the regular season finale?
Yep.
Not crash. I mean, that's kind of how it is. I to be honest, I was kind of intending on this being my last race just to focus a little bit more on Coke and all that. But now that I won, so now that I've won, I might come run Talladega. And if I make it into the playoffs there, I might stick around for the playoffs and see what happens. If I wreck at Talladega and miss the playoffs, and I'll probably have to check out and go focus on my coke duties. But yeah, I mean, the main thing at Talladega is just don't crash. I feel like it's pretty self-explanatory. I ran up front at Daytona for most of the race, and then, we had that incident on the last lap, but I was in the fight for it, and I expect more of the same out of myself at Talladega.
Alrighty, well, congrats on the win, and we'll see what 2 weeks' time has in store for you at Talladega. Nate Stewart, the winner tonight at COTA.
Thank you.
All right, and then I will catch up with second place. Sebastian Marin gets second. Some very, very rare mistakes, Sebastian, that hindered you a lot here today. Nate seemed to have the speed either way, but you had the positioning, the issue in the S's, the issue in the pits, and obviously you still worked up to second, so good recovery there. Just kind of summarize how that night, what was going on in the car and how it affected you behind the wheel.
Yeah, a bit of a sloppy first stint, like you guys were saying. I was just kind of flabbergasted of how much speed Nate had on the longer run, and I just kept making mistakes trying to find that speed. And then obviously the S's cost me the lead, but I felt like I was similar pace to him, so I felt like it was still going to be a close battle. And then I should have practiced pit entry or just not bombed it in there, like if I was on new tires, because boy, did it not stop. And luckily I kept it off the wall. And then that second stint, I figured out what Nate was doing to be so good on the long run when he got by me. So that second stint, my pace was way better, but at that point it was too late. So in hindsight, if I didn't make that mistake, the battle between me and Nate would have been a lot closer. But hey, I'll take a second place behind Nate, who's I would say is more known for his road course skills. He's definitely a tough cookie to be on the road courses. So I'm not too upset that I finished second to him. So overall, a good day.
Yeah, great day all in all, and sets you up for the playoffs. Obviously, one more round where you can get some bonus points or staging points there at Talladega, and then we head into the playoffs. So is next week kind of just an icing on the cake for you? You already setting sail on the playoffs, or are you setting sail and trying to get one more win no matter what at Dega next week, or 2 weeks' time, rather?
Yeah, of course I want to go in there and try to win the race, but it's also, like you said, the last race before the playoffs, so if possible, probably wouldn't want to make more enemies than I probably already have after the All-Star race heading into the playoffs. So yeah, of course, gonna try and win, but just try and play it cautious. Let's not make any more enemies.
Absolutely. If you said icing on the cake, if you're upside down, it don't hurt that bad. But either way, congrats on a good recovery, making the most out of a race that could have went differently. And we'll see you in a few weeks' time.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Have a good night.
Too. And then Mr. Hendry County, Mr. Travis Beckner will catch up with Hunter there out of the third position.
Yeah, I mentioned before the night began that Travis Beckner would be one to watch for road courses, especially here at COTA. You've had success in the past on the truck side of things, and in the second half of the race, you were closely inching your way towards a podium spot. And take us through what led you into that podium paying position.
Yeah, just was trying to keep the rear tires on it all night long. Kind of wish we were back in season 2 in the truck series here where I won this race by 32 seconds. But, I'll take a P3 out of this. Didn't really have much practice. Just saw them racing hard up in front, and one person sent in a little too hard and capitalized on it and took them 3 on the right-hand side of the track. And I was able to get clear and then set my sights on Jake Nichols to go up for P3.
And looking through at the point standings, you're still 5th after this one's said and done. You're still winless on the season. 2 weeks' time, we head to Talladega. Could that be a potential opportunity to get your first win of the season and bring some much-needed momentum into the playoffs?
Well, I hope I get the win in the Cup Series because I am not looking good on points in the Cup Series. I need a win to make it in. Truck Series, I think I might be locked in. I'm not 100% sure. I'm pretty sure I'm locked in here. But yeah, definitely going for a win next week. We're going to see what we could do with this Hendry County Motorsports Park Chevrolet. So we're gonna see what we can do.
All right, solid podium position for Travis Becker. He comes home P3.
Yep, before we go, I'd like to thank my sponsors, Hendry County Motorsports Park, Wilson Race Cars, everybody that came out that watched tonight, everybody that raced, y'all taking the time out of your day to come broadcast this. Happy to see you back in the booth, Hunter. Before I forget, got to thank my grandparents, and I think that might be it. Yeah, that's it.
All right. Well, congrats, Travis, on a solid finish, and we'll see you in 2 weeks' time at Dager.
Thank you.
And that post-race show, and of course the Nate Stewart victory interview, brought to you by Victory Fuel. You could celebrate with Victory Fuel. Get your caffeine-free flavors like Throttle Punch, Purple Potion, or Lucky Lemon. Each can packed with electrolytes charged with vitamins and kid-friendly. Get 10% off your order with code Area iRacing at checkout. And I think the only other partner we have missed here today is ShopAreaIRacing.com. You can visit them for high-quality merch at low prices. Over 100 selections of t-shirts, hats, champion clothing, and other accessories. Easy to shop, quicker to ship, better to wear. Shop.areaiRacing.com. So that will be our show. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Like, share, comment, subscribe. We will be off next week for the new build week, but make sure you join us in 2 weeks' time for the regular season finale. Any final words, Hunter, before we sign out?
I'm looking forward to Talladega in 2 weeks' time. Can't wait to see what Cup Truck and the Pro Series have in store.
All right, so we will look forward to that and hope you join us for the fun. That'll be Corey and Hunter signing out of the booth. Have a great night, and we'll catch you next time.